ever lived in a Mediterranean climate, and you had the experience of the buildings with clay tiled roofs, the round orange tiles, you know that one sits upon the other, and you can very easily move them out, and then you have the whole roof exposed. And that was what this experience of the gospel was. But that's not the message here. Every one of us experiences some paralysis. Paralysis means you are incapable of doing that which you desire to do. You can't do it. You just, and here this man was laying on his bed for how long? Some of us have been laying in our bed of paralysis all of our life. We can't move beyond it. Even though we try, even though we think we want to get there, we can't go beyond the paralysis. We're stuck. Many of us have been stuck in so many things. And this is the story of the gospel today. This man is stuck, and he can't get out of what he's in, no matter how hard he tries. And after a while, in the midst of our paralysis, we begin to become comfortable in our sickness. We get comfortable in the fact we can't go anywhere, so we don't even try anymore. That happens to all of us. We get overwhelmed, and we stay in the same place year in and year out. I've got to stop. I've got to stop gossiping. I've got to stop lying. I've got to stop stealing, cheating, being unfaithful. I have to learn to pray. I have to learn to fast. I have to learn to change. That's the paralysis. We lay there, and year in and year out, we confess the same sin. And we don't go anywhere. We say we want to, but I can't. And the real truth is, I really don't know that I want to, and I am not going to do it. Not that I can't. I'm not. So this man is laying there, and he has 4 friends. And you know, young men or men, when they're together, sometimes there's a lot of bravado. They want to show off. So I'm sure there's a bit of the element here besides them being faithful. Let's take him there and get him fixed. Everybody's been talking about Jesus has this power. Let's go and see if he can fix our friend. So they drag him, and of course there's no room. And so instead of being like a sane crowd and saying there's no room, they run up the roof, open the roof, and dump him on the floor and say, fix him. It's community. You can't get out of your paralysis, but your brothers and sisters can pick you up, and they can carry you and bring you to the Lord and put you on the floor and say, Lord, fix her. Fix him. That's what community does. Not just your faith, but the faith connected to everyone else will carry you in your paralysis to be healed. We forget about that. We wonder why we come together. We come together for that very fact. We cannot always carry ourselves. We cannot always get up from our paralysis. But together, we can help each other. And sometimes we say, why don't you do this? Why don't you pray to that saint? Why don't you do this? Well, why don't you? Because our faith isn't strong enough. But they say, you know what? We're going to pray tonight. Why don't you come pray with us? And we'll pray that God helps you. That's the young men picking up this man and carrying him when he's paralyzed. We're all paralyzed. We are all stricken and lay in our hopelessness and don't know what to do. And instead of turning to the source of cure, we say, I don't know what to do. We need to turn to God and say, God, only you can reach in and take me and make me whole again. And then they all said they'd never seen such things. That the man who's paralyzed now walks. The man who spent his whole life in despair now has hope. The one who has been sick no longer is sick of soul, and the body is healed. So often our bodies are sick because of our souls. This man was paralyzed, but the paralysis was not the sickness. It was the sickness that caused the paralysis. And many of us are paralyzed because the Spirit is not within us, because we don't turn to God and say, Lord, heal me. Let me walk. And the Lord forgives you because of your faith. And if you don't have enough faith, the community has enough for all of us. So we need to work together. We need, during this great feast and struggle of the fast to the feast of the resurrection, to pick up each other, to carry each other, to help each other come to the Lord. When you see your brother or your sister laying in their paralysis of this worldliness, laying in their secularism, where everything comes before God, let's go, pick them up, and throw them at the feet of the Lord and say, heal this brother of mine, heal this sister, and change them, because they're in paralysis and they can't walk themselves. We're all paralyzed. Let's bring one another to the Lord and change our lives. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Let us all say with our whole soul and with our whole mind, let us all say, Lord have mercy.